Hello, everybody. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, and I'll let her introduce herself. Kari?
Hi, Art. How are you? I'm Kari Lake. I spent 27 years in Arizona as a journalist and a news anchor, covering this beautiful, great state of ours. And I resigned March 1st in protest of the fake news. I just didn't want to be part of it, be part of the media, which is not telling the full truth. And so I left that position and was urged by my fellow Arizonans to get into politics and run for governor. And I decided to do that. June 1st, I announced my candidacy for governor, and I'm running to be on the Republican ticket for Arizona governor. And we are having an amazing, just an amazing response to our campaign. Every day, Arizonans who've never been involved in politics are so excited to see a non-politician, real person who understands the issues of Arizona running. And I think people are ready to get politics as usual out of our state government. And so we are doing really well. We are the front runner by a mile in this campaign. And as I like to say, when I'm out on the campaign trail, I have one massive special interest group, and it is the people of Arizona.
Welcome, Kari. Thank you very much for joining. I reached out to every major candidate running for governor here in Arizona, and you're the only one that reached out. You're the only one that I'm talking to. So I really appreciate your time. And I'm just going to have a couple questions for you, just to go real briefly to go over the mission of Lost in Phoenix. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to create prevention through awareness, prevention of what fentanyl or so-called blues out in the street. They're basically counterfeit pills pouring over the border, made by the Mexican cartels, and it's a problem. It's a major problem that I'm seeing here in the Valley. These folks are really young, teens and young adults, just out there living on the street because they choose to be out there because they've burned bridges with their families and they're out there overdosing, and it's a major problem, growing problem. And if elected, what can you do to help with this issue? I know if elected next year, you're going to have a lot of issues, right? Homelessness and mask and COVID and the economy. But I think this is an important issue as well, because on average in the state of Arizona, there's 10 overdose deaths every day. So that's a major issue that we need to start tackling so it doesn't grow. So what type of commitment can you make if elected?
You mentioned all those issues, and they're really all tied together, believe it or not. First of all, we've got a border that's wide open, and we're seeing drugs pouring in. I was down in the one of the biggest drug trafficking areas in the country. 40% of our drugs pass through and come up through Pinal County from Mexico. And because of the changes in the border policy, when we went from the Trump administration to the Biden administration, the doors are wide open, and we are seeing a huge increase in drugs coming across. And you mentioned the pills. That pill form it's so important because once they're distributed and they're on the street, they cost barely anything for kids to get their hands on, or young adults. And I was talking to the sheriff of Pinal County. He said in 2018, under President Trump's not immigration, but border policy, they seized 0 of those fentanyl pills in 2018. Fast forward to now, they're on pace to seize 500,000 of those pills. Think about that. Those are pills that many of them are making it to our streets here in Arizona, and some go obviously beyond our borders as well. And we know that fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine. It is so deadly. We also know that 1 kilogram of fentanyl can kill 500,000 people. So to me, what the international drug cartels and criminal cartels run by the cartels in Mexico, and China's involved as well, they are pushing poison into our state and into our communities. They're killing our young people, killing our old people, all of our people. And to me, this is bioterrorism, and we need to treat it as such. We need to stop it from coming in and do everything in our power. It's not just about the people pouring across. And right now we have a lot of people pouring across. We don't know if they're drug dealers, if they've got criminal records, what their intention is, but we need to get control of our border. And thankfully, a judge just ruled in Texas that we can go back to the policy that President Trump had, because in all of the law enforcement that I'm speaking to who deal with drugs, they said that was a policy that was actually working. And we were starting to see a little bit of a decline in the opioid situation, the opioid problem. Now, you talked also about masks and the economy and all of that. And when you start seeing our children being forced to wear masks, and you see these draconian mask mandates and COVID restriction put on them, they lose their joy in life. It's very difficult emotionally on our children and our young adults. And many of them have just decided to stop doing the school thing because of it. And when you have nothing to live for and nothing to hope for, sometimes you end up falling by the wrong path. We've taken God out of our homes in many cases, out of our civilization, and there's just no hope for these young people. And it's such a cheap high to get when you buy one of those pills. You even mentioned it, $1 or $2 for one of those. When I was a kid, you might try to sneak a beer. Now we've made it to where a beer is more expensive than a fentanyl pill. Think about that.
Yes, definitely. That's it's amazing how we're going down the path here in Arizona and society at large. So we have to ask ourselves, when is enough enough, and what are we doing to address these issues? So I'm really glad you joined me and had the courage to discuss this for my audience at large, and it's going to be seen by thousands of people. And I'm hoping that if elected, you will tackle these tough issues. I feel like I know you. I've seen you for decades on TV, and here I am talking to you because now you're willing to put yourself through the rigors of a candidacy for governor, and all in an effort to make our state better. So I can stand behind that, right? And so I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we end today?
Yeah, I really didn't get into a lot of the solutions, but we need to secure the border, and the federal government right now is not doing anything to do that. I know that we're going to be returning, hopefully due to this judge's ruling, back to the President Trump border policy, which I believe puts America and our border patrol in control of the border. Right now, it's so sad to think about, but the cartels have more control. They're in total control of our borders, and we aren't in control, and that's unacceptable. So we need to put more of our troopers and on the streets to help seize drugs. The DPS troopers, we could put them kind of shift a little bit and have them do more in stopping drugs that are flowing through our interstate system, because so much of it comes up I-17, goes on Interstate 40, heading west, heading east. It's all running through Arizona. So we need to get our DPS troopers working more on stopping some of the drugs that are moving, and get all of our law enforcement working together. We also have $1.6 or $1.7 billion in federal COVID relief money that was sent to our state, and everyone's trying to get their hands on it. I believe a large portion of that should go to law enforcement. And people would say, wait a minute, Kari, this is COVID relief. Why would you send that to law enforcement? Well, it should go to our border agencies. In other words, the sheriff's departments along the border and these drug trafficking routes, because so many of the people coming across, we're finding, have COVID. So we could divert some of that money into the sheriff's departments along the border, and they could increase patrols, pay for their overtime, and really try to do a hard push to stop the stuff from coming across. And we could kill two birds with one stone, really prevent some of the drugs from coming across. At the same time, we're keeping people who have COVID from coming across. And that's kind of what the box you need to check, right, in order to get that COVID relief money. But we also need to look at effective drug treatment. And so many times these young people end up in drug treatment. They get out, they get right back on it because it's so accessible on the streets. It's easier to get a fentanyl pill for a young person than it is for them to purchase a beer. Think about that. It's easier. If with a beer, you have to have the ID, you have to go into the store. It's impossible. So in some ways, we've made it so easy for our kids to get their hands on this. It's no wonder they're getting on it, and they're getting hooked sometimes with the first usage, or worse yet, they're dying because this is mixed by a bunch of criminals who don't care about our children's health. And sometimes they're mixing it where one pill is all it takes to kill and take the life of a young American who has so much to live for. And they've lost their life because we've let these drugs flow into our communities. It's really horrible.
I really appreciate you offering solutions, right? You're not just going off of any political talking points. You're really giving solutions. One, and the main thing is because you're a mom, you're an Arizonan, right? You're from
Right.
here and you're not a politician. You're really not a
Right.
politician. So people can really understand a person like you because, you know, we're all parents, right? We all pay our
Mhm.
taxes and we all have eyes and ears to see what's going on in our society here locally. So I really like the solutions that you're trying to give, and you have a plan, it seems. So I really like that because nobody else is talking about it. Nobody else is mentioning it. Nobody else is really willing to talk. If I offered this conversation with all the people that you're running against, and nobody, you know, nobody even reached out to me and say no, thank you, that means they're not concerned with this. But obviously you are, and you've done your research, and you're already saying how you're going to tackle it. So I admire that about you, Kari. Anything else you'd like to share? Because that's all that I had. I just wanted to say thank you very much Kari, for taking the time to really have a robust conversation on this
Thank you.
topic with this that's affecting all of us here in Arizona. And I'd like to say good luck to you next November 8th of 2022.
Well, the first election is August 2nd, 2022. That's when I'm running against my Republican opponent. So I'd appreciate the support August 2nd so that I can be on the ballot. And this is a priority. I've had loved ones, I've had friends who have struggled with addiction and even passed away due to it. So we need to take this seriously. We're losing too many of our young people to this. And even if it's not an overdose, their life is taken away from them, their will to survive, and it's got such a death grip on our young people, and we're allowing this to come across. It's unconscionable. We need to make sure our state laws are so strict when it comes to trafficking this stuff, and if it gets into the hands of our children, we should treat that as a very serious felony that people go to prison for a long time. If you're trafficking drugs to our children, I got a problem with that because I'm a mom and I don't want it in my kids' hands or your kids' hands. I want our young people to have a bright future filled with opportunity. We're living in the greatest state in the country and the greatest country in the world. And to think that these cartels can come in and rob them of their futures is it's criminal, it's unconscionable, and I'm going to do everything I can to put a stop to it.
Sounds good to me, Kari. I can support that. And so I'll say thank you very much. The best of luck, and we'll be talking soon because I'm sure you'll be doing good in your run for governor. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Art.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.